Let's paint simple roses you could use for a Valentine's Day or a wedding card. I'll show you two versions, but let's start with roses inside a heart shape. I'm taping down the watercolor paper and making a stencil for the heart by folding a copy paper or any scrap piece of paper in half and sketching one half of a heart on it and cutting it out to make a stencil to draw a symmetrical heart on the watercolor paper. I'm using an erasable colored pencil so I can erase the outline later. I'm doing this on a bigger sized paper, but for a card you would cut the paper smaller and fill the heart with less flowers. Let's start painting the first watercolor layers for the roses. I'm using alizarin crimson, which is a cool toned red, a round brush and watery paint to make the first layer light. They don't need to be perfectly round. In fact, I was trying to add some sharp points for the outer petals at first, but then making them more rounded but still irregular shapes as I went on. They don't all have to be the same shape, and you'll see later that it doesn't matter if some of them are a bit off at this point. I'm just filling the heart with different sized roses with a little bit of space between them. For the second layer, I first tried painting this thick and saturated shading or outlines for the petals and immediately didn't like how it looked. So I covered it up and instead started shading just the centers of the flowers with a solid color paint or only shading a few of the center petals. My favorite way to shade the petals was making a wobbly dashed spiral in the center, leaving the outside of the flower lighter. And you could add more paint to the middle of the flower while it's still wet and let it spread out. While this layer is drying, let's start on the second version. So if you want to write a greeting in the middle, you could do the opposite. I'm using the same heart stencil, but cutting it a bit smaller to leave some room on the watercolor sheet outside of the heart and then copying the heart on the watercolor paper. Now, instead of filling the inside of the heart with flowers, I'm painting them on the outside. Some are cut in half, some might be full flowers. I'm leaving a bit of empty space between some of the roses. You might want to make the heart stencil even smaller to leave a bit more space for the outside than I did. Now let's add thinner and more saturated outlines for the rose petals using less water, maybe with a smaller brush this time. I'm adding a few smaller roses in between to fill the biggest gaps and darker shading in the centers of the flowers again. Once the roses are dry, we can start painting leaves. I used two different greens, a cooler Viridian green and a more muted yellowish sap green, alternating between them. They're oval leaves with a sharp point. I'm adding them at random points on the edges of the heart, but also inside it between the flowers. For the rose heart frame version, you can fill in the blank spaces we left between the flowers with leaves. And you can even out the outline of the heart with red paint to make it cleaner. Now we'll add some highlights. If you have masking fluid, you could mask out the highlights in the beginning, but my masking fluid is dead. So I'm using white acrylic paint at the end. It could also be gouache, just adding a few wavy, rounded lines to each flower. I felt like it needed more contrast, so I painted the spaces between the flowers a darker green to make the flowers pop. And I added a few darker leaves for the heart frame as well. You could also make this a greeting card by painting this on one piece of paper so that this is the front, and then it opens up to this. But here's another flower painting idea you could use for a card. See you there!